Well, good afternoon, folks. Figured I'd give you a quick little shop update. Haven't done anything for a couple weeks now, and been trying to get back to it, but it's just been, I've been busy. I don't have a whole lot to show you, but we've been exceptionally busy. All of the time that I've had free, I spent working on developing this stock. And I showed this stock in previous shop update, and said that it was probably the only time you'd ever see it in that configuration, and I was pretty much right. So this is the way it looks right now. We still don't have the carbon fiber layups finished, and cheek piece and carbon fiber here. Mechanically, this is fully developed. We're doing some production parts on it now for the first production run. There's still a lot of things that are changing along the way, but this is where we're at. So just figured I'd give you a quick little shot of that. That's the way it looks right now. So that's where all my time's been spent. Several other things going on. Part of them related to that, part of them not. And I've got a little bit of list on things I was going to cover very quickly. I'm kind of limited on time today. We've got some stuff going over here that I'll go over in just a minute. And then I've got to go back in and spend time with my wife. So anyway, been working on this stock. I'd set up to test some AVEX rivets. There were some questions we had on the Zenith board about the strength of Zenith supplied rivets as opposed to rivets that were supplied from other places, and I said I was going to do some testing on it. Haven't started testing yet. The fixture's done. It's sitting behind me here, and this is what it looks like. I still got to build my little jig to tear them apart, but basically what happens is it'll be affixed at the bottom and the top with our rivets in between, or a rivet in between, and we're going to pump it up, and as we pump the jack up, it will pull it that way, and we'll reach shear strength on it, and we'll be able to read it on the gauge. So is it going to be 100% accurate? No, but I want it as a comparison tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare Zenith rivets against some of the other rivets, and we'll find out if there's any difference. So that's what we're doing with that. That's what's happening. Now, I added a 3D printer to the shop, and I've always looked at a 3D printer as kind of one of those little toys that could do something, but there's a little bit of fixturing for this stock that I thought would be best served by 3D print. So I've had it for about a week now, and I have to say I'm impressed. I did some video on assembly of that, and I haven't even started editing. It's one of those of oh well, yeah, I guess this should have gone over here, and this fits better on the other side than it does on this, and that kind of thing. So we'll see if there's anything worth watching there. I'm extremely impressed with the quality of it. The prints, I've had very, very good luck from the very beginning. The very first test print I did, of course, is one that they supplied the G-code for, and granted it would be optimized for that printer, but it does an exceptionally good job. Everything I've printed, I've had some failures, of course, but I've primarily been printing accessories for the printer itself, things that enhance its function. And it's doing a very, very good job. I think they're worth taking a look at, and I'll give you a look at that as I get time when we get back to playing with that. I have been doing some prototype work for this stock with that, and I'm very pleased with the results. So it's changed my mind a little bit. I think there's a place in the shop for that. It's not going to replace everything that some of the people say it's going to replace, in my mind anyway, but I think it's a very good tool to have available to you. So anyway, I've done that. What I've been working on today is I've been setting up the anodizing line to anodize the aluminum parts for this stock, and I'm just now finishing them up. I've got a few test pieces in the sealer right now, so I'll pull those out here in about 5 minutes or so, and I'll give you a little bit of a glimpse of one or two of those parts. But so far, I'm very, very pleased with that. I've set up a 5-gallon anodizing line, or I'm in the process of setting up a 5-gallon anodizing line. My acid's set up, and I've got that pretty well lined out. Everything's going to change a little bit, like everything else. They're always a work in progress. But for today, just to find out if I was going to be able to do this and everything, I've hooked it up. And for the dye that I used, I had it in a smaller container, and I'm running sealer in just a little tea kettle on a hot plate and things like that. But as I put them into the sealer after they were rinsed going in there, it looks very good. I'm very happy with that. So we'll go ahead and develop that further, and I'll show you that as we go along. those are the main things that I had. Things that are happening around the web. I've had a couple of questions about VFDs compared to rotary phase converters. Quite a while back I did a video comparing those two from my standpoint and my limited knowledge on them, and I do run both here in the shop, and I'll put a link to that video up here in the top someplace. We all need to research this stuff for ourselves. We listen to this stuff on the internet, and when I give my opinion on this, or when I show how I do something, it's just that. It's my opinion. It's how I've chosen to do it. It may work for you. It may not work for you. It may be completely wrong. But it's, you know, take whatever I say or anybody else says with a grain of salt. Do your own research. One of the things that brought this to the forefront is there's so much noise on the internet. There's a lot of good information, but a lot of it is noise. A lot of it's the wrong information. I've kind of been looking at laser cutters, and I may at some point invest in a small laser cutter, whether it's and it'll probably be a Chinese laser cutter, whether it's one of the small K40s or whether I get one of the larger 80 or 100 watt lasers. I think I've got a use for that, or a few uses for that here in the shop. So I've been kind of looking at that, but as we all do, I've been watching YouTube videos on that. And I watched one today where a gentleman was doing an upgrade on a little bit bigger laser, and very knowledgeable, very well thought out, and this guy knew what he was talking about, and I was really impressed. And he did a really good job explaining what was happening, what he was doing, and why he was doing it. And I was really impressed with this right up until I watched his execution of it. And I watched the wiring he did, the way he did it, and the execution of what he was explaining was, in my mind, completely wrong. And I'm not going to get into who it was, why it was, or anything, because it doesn't matter. It just proves the point of go back and do your due diligence. Make sure that you're going in the right path that you want to go before you jump into some of this stuff. Yahoo. The big thing about Yahoo here lately, they're dropping all their groups. So, of course, everybody's scrambling with that. Yeah, big damn deal. I see a lot of everybody's kind of scrambling, deciding what they're going to do. I've heard some guys on some of the groups, they want to start their own website so they've got control of it and everything. In my mind, the best thing to do with all of that is switch over to groups.io. They seem to be doing a real good job. I have no interest in administering any of them, know nothing about them, but the groups that I belong to that have already switched over to groups.io, it seems as though the transition has been very smooth, the service has been very good, and that's the way to do it. You know, I've not been as involved on some of the message boards here lately as I have in the past, because I feel like my time can be better utilized other places, as all of our time can be. You know, it's a great informational source, but sometimes it gets to be a little overwhelming and too much noise there, and we don't accomplish anything when we do it. One of the groups that I belonged to while I was watching it, and the other morning I fired up the computer, yesterday morning as a matter of fact, and I checked the emails that morning, and about 3 hours later I just happened to be sitting at the computer, so I opened up emails, and I had about 90 some emails, and I opened the first one, and it was about that. There was a whole string of messages about the Yahoo closing down their groups, and when I hit the delete button on that particular thread, well, I had 23 emails left. So that's how much noise was there in about 2 hours. It's just a waste of time. So anyway, that's pretty much all I've really got to tell you. Hopefully I've at least given you a little bit of an idea of what we're still doing and what's going on. Let me rinse this off, grab one of these parts out of the sealer, and let's see what it looks like. Alright, well, this is one I'm going to call a resounding success. So, there's our Hills Custom logo on the side of our tubes. I'm very pleased with all of those. Here's the top of one of our saddles that we've anodized. And I'm very, very happy with that. So I have no complaints there whatsoever. I only ran 3 pieces through. The colors all match very, very nicely. I got good color penetration on them. They're even. I've got no acid carryover or anything like that that's blemished them, and I'm extremely happy with that. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I've got other things to do yet this afternoon. So hopefully I've given you at least a little bit of an update. You found something a little bit interesting. And if you did and haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. If you hit the bell notification, you'll know when I put out a new video. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.